Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of
Kero.
My name is Hans
I'm Edward.
and we are your hosts for now and forevermore.
Or until we sail away with a boat full of money.
I mean, I don't know if I want to sail away with the money. I mean, I kind of want to spend it.
No, the implication is that you got the money in this country and you're sailing away with it. So you stole it.
Okay, so it's kind of like in relation to everything that's been going on. Okay.
Exactly.
Fair enough. Welcome, Vamorites, to another wonderful episode. If you are new, welcome to what we feel is the internet's best podcast for gaming, entertainment, technology, and lifestyle, news, reviews, and previews, all wrapped up in a wonderful, geeky...
I was going to say capsule, but I was thinking...
Do you know how many...
I'm
Edward,
thinking,
no. You know how many times I've had capsule?
I'm thinking medication, okay? Well, capsules are cool. There are different kinds of capsules.
No, that is not a good enough.
Haven't you ever watched Dragon Ball Z?
Capsule Corp, yeah. Okay, so,
exactly.
So what is it all wrapped up in? Please, not capsule, because we've had that like ad infinitum.
Well, I don't know.
A vaccine.
What do you call
because I had my
what
vaccine.
Do you call the thing a vaccine is in?
An ampule, probably.
There we go, an ampule.
Okay, so... Okay.
Because the vaccine itself can't wrap around something.
Well, either way, welcome to Ghetto episode 66, season 2, episode 24. We hope that you will enjoy this episode as much as we enjoy talking to you all about it. So as I mentioned, I've had the first jab of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine, and I'm doing okay. little headachy. I no longer sleep because apparently it's a 1 in 1,000 chance of sleeplessness. Hi, my name is Hans.
You just never sleep anyway. You just never sleep anyway.
I think you know what? I must be honest. I think it probably compounds on the fact that I don't sleep in any case. So it's just kind of decided that bitch, this is what you're gonna get. Anyway, I'm feeling okay. Arm is ever so slightly tender, but you know what? Cool. You know, this is the first step to hopefully living a once again normal life, even if these vaccines become yearly boosters. It's okay. You know, whatever. Whatever we've got to do. Hey, Ed.
Yeah, let's.
And how are you doing?
You know?
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm decent. I've been having like what do you call it? A continual headache, I guess, for days and days now since the last.
You know, I can't even say on my side that
I'm living with it
just from the vaccine either. I think it's just winter and the cold.
Yeah,
and
just
the dryness of the air.
This constant dreariness, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I suppose we're both okay. And so let's get straight into the weekly question that we normally have. And Edward put this one forward because it actually links through to one or two things we'll speak about within this episode. And it is, if you could keep an unconventional pet, what would it be? Ed?
So, I don't know. I didn't think about the
well,
answer
I mean,
for that one.
Look, you already have conventional pets, right? So you have...
Yes.
You have, cats, dogs, and a bird.
Yes.
Now, you know, I suppose to an extent, some people might think that unconventional would be like a spider or a snake, but I'm hoping for really unconventional. Like, I know that my Tegan from Australia would want a pet otter, which is that is a very unconventional pet. That's not something that you can just go to a store and buy. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So given that, like, what is the first thing that comes to mind if like money was no object and you could just, you know, get some pet just to have?
A lynx.
Really? Why?
I love them. I've always been obsessed with lynxes.
Okay.
And I like them a lot. I don't think you're allowed to, except for the caracal, you are allowed to own a caracal if you've got a license, but you're not allowed to own a lynx.
I
The actual
did not know
proper
that.
lynx.
Wow. All right.
So yeah, I would have a lynx.
That is interesting.
Yeah.
That is very interesting.
What about you?
A dinosaur.
An animal that exists.
No. It was unconventional pet. Okay, and if money was
so
no
a
object-
crocodile and or bird.
No. You know. This is the strangest part. This is the strangest thing. So I don't actually like reptiles, and I'm not into birds. Like for me, a pet it's a cat or a dog. You know, I don't give me rodents. Don't give me the lizards or like stuff like that. And yet,
Mhm.
would I love a pet dinosaur? Love a pet dinosaur.
Yeah.
What
like a
kind of
pocket
dinosaur?
raptor.
Right? That wasn't the thing. So like, as much as I'd love to say something like a velociraptor, I don't want to kill myself because that's what will happen. It will inevitably eat me. Okay? Much like how snakes sometimes bite their owners and wrap around their arms, and you know, it's a reptile. The reptilian brain is not suited to captivity in that sense. All right. So
only suited to
I would
making
think maybe
rebellion.
something herbivorous. So maybe, you know, with some extra gene modification, you know, kind of like how you get mini dogs, right? So I'd get like a mini triceratops or something.
But even that'll bite your ankle.
Well, I mean, I don't know about biting your ankle. It might stab you a little bit by running into you with its horns if it gets angry, I suppose. So
imagine like a mini triceratops horn
the
in
thing
your
is,
ankle.
I mean, I couldn't even say like ankylosaurus because if there was one, it would use the end of its tail to knock your legs in.
Well, how many herbivore dinosaurs are there?
Many.
So maybe one of those.
But that's what I'm saying.
And that'll be
an
easy to take care of as well.
ankylosaurus is also one. So is a pachycephalosaurus or a parasaurolophus. Or you know what would be cool? A mini brachiosaurus. I think that would be cool.
A
patasaurus.
That's the
or some,
long one.
Yes,
correct?
something like that might actually be cooler. You know?
Actually, there's this photo long ago now. I still have it somewhere on Facebook, where a bunch of cats were eating, and from far away it looked like a bunch of brachiosauruses.
Oh, I've seen that. No.
Yes.
There were lemurs. They were lemurs.
Oh, lemurs. And see, I can envision that kind of thing in your backyard. You know, and I think, that a mini brachiosaurus, that'll look perfect in your backyard.
I'm down for mini brachiosaurs. Now we just need these billionaires to actually do it instead of going to space, which we will be speaking about a bit later on in the episode. I know that would have been like the perfect segue, but we have other things lined up. Namely, to do with unconventional pets. And Nicolas Cage's latest film, which is called Pig. So, right off the bat, it's exceptional. I'm just put it out there. It's a great film. It is well produced, well shot, well acted, and it has a really unconventional yet engaging narrative, which, in my opinion, is so rare for Hollywood movies today. You know, to get a film that is not only entertaining and engaging, but just good. Do you know what I mean? Like that. I mean, unconventional. You know, it's not the same story told again and again and again. So, what makes Pig so good is how it's initially, at least in the first, I'd say maybe half of the film, it does feel very much like a kind of like a bit of a John Wick style thing going on, right? But
seems like that's the name of the game nowadays.
I mean, but so many things are John Wick, right? Right now,
yeah,
we're
like
trying to
Mr.
persify.
Nobody.
Now, what the movie is about, and what you eventually discover, because it's not all straightforward. That's what I love about it, is how through a series of unusual events, like Fight Club styled events, you come to realize that Nicolas Cage is a prolific chef who has been living in isolation for over a decade. Now, in that time, he does look for truffles, which are those, if you know what a truffle is, it's like that weird, it's almost like a like mushroom style thing. And they have a very unique taste and flavor. And they're also quite expensive. So
not that great though.
So he's not so you only discover later on that he's this prolific chef. But up until before you discover that, he's been living in isolation in the woods, and he finds truffles with his pet pig, who he absolutely adores. And what ends up happening is people steal the pig. And then he goes on this mission to find out where his pig is. And, again, that sounds very, very John Wick. What happened to the dog? But then the movie takes the most interesting twist where you realize that the man is a chef. And then there's this whole underground element to it about how he's this chef that you say his name and people like bow down because he was so good and so prolific that when he disappeared, it was like the restaurant industry in wherever the film was shot, like they lost a savant.
Just collapsed.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So it's just so interesting. And then again, further elaborating on that, where John Wick was all about like revenge and, for his dog, but then it was compounded because obviously his family was dead and, the dog was a gift or whatever the case is, right?
From his wife,
yeah. So you find out while watching Pig, or rather, I don't want to say what you find out. What happens in Pig is that the movie ends up really being about love. And I know that sounds strange, but you have to watch it to understand just the way that everything comes together and how through his love of making food, love prevails. I know that sounds so weird, but it's just
cheesy.
It's such not even cheesy. It's such a good movie. It subverts you at every sort of juncture, and you just end up being like, wow, that's awesome,
Okay.
So yeah,
sounds cool.
Pig, very good. Nicolas Cage is fantastic in the role, and it's one of the most unusual and absolutely worthwhile movies to have come out in 2021, in my personal opinion.
Okay, that's fair.
And now once again, keeping on unconventional pets. So he had a pig, and as we've discussed many, many times, pigs can be quite intelligent. But Edward, do you know what else, rather unfortunately for you, is also quite intelligent?
Well, looking at the notes, I can see what it is, and I'm already horrified. Okay, so
spiders. Now, not all of them. And now this is a very interesting new piece of research via Science Alert, and it has to do with the fact that we know as mammals, right? We have or rather, mammals in general, not just humans, mammals. They have the ability to distinguish between what is real and what is biological and what is not. Kind of like that's a tree, but that's a giraffe, if that makes sense. Okay? Especially when it comes to movement. Now, we as humans are incredibly apt at doing things like this. We can identify different kinds of motion, which is why, in a way, we're like the apex predator of the planet because we can cognitively think and so on and so forth. So anyway, what they've discovered is that invertebrate animals can also now allegedly distinguish between inanimate and animate objects, which nobody knew before. So like if you looked at a little jumping spider, right? You would it often seems like it knows that you're there and it jumps away from you. Now, through this new research, they have conclusive proof that it can do exactly that. It actually can tell the difference between biological motion, so, creature moving, and something static, like leaves or branches or whatever the case is. And the research is interesting because it's the first time that they've been able to create a reproducible test, meaning that they can now test other vertebrates. I mean, I don't think it's fascinating. As always, we will
That's
link.
not bad.
We'll link to the article, and you can go and read a little bit more about it and how they did it and so on and so forth. So, Ed, tell me.
Yeah.
Now that you know this.
Yes.
How does it make you feel?
Even worse. Even about the spiders. Because that just means now they know when to look out for a human. So now they know when to bite me or bite you.
You see,
kill someone.
That's the interesting thing about it, because the study specifically looked at little jumping spiders because of the way they move and react and that. So it didn't really pay careful attention to whether a spider knowingly knows what you are before it bites. A majority of the time, from what I understand, that comes down to self-preservation as a means of protecting itself versus dying at your cheek, or whatever the case is. But yeah, I wonder if they could maybe adapt this at a later stage or in the future to find out a bit more. What are their choices? Are they really as complex as we think they are?
Well,
I mean, this is still it's like Newfoundling research. It's just sort of broaching the tip of the proverbial iceberg. Oh, at least that's what it seems. I mean, I don't know.
The start of the web.
Okay, well, not that kind of web. I mean, I know you definitely don't like them, right? You've often referred to them in a certain way, spiders.
Yeah, like devil creatures.
Devil spawn.
Spawn.
Now, with what Edward has just said on the mind, there is a very good new true crime drama from Showmax, which is a South African streaming service. It's the first true crime drama that they've developed, and it is called Devilsdorp. And it is about the appointment murders that took place in 2016. Are you aware of that at all, Ed?
It made news, I believe, but I can't remember if I was
This is
aware.
The interesting thing about it is I honestly cannot recall this at all. At all. I didn't even know that this happened. And this is startling to me because I used to go to university in Roodepoort during that time. And that's literally on the border of Krugersdorp. So
I mean,
I know, right?
My wedding's gonna be on the border of Krugersdorp.
so the way that the way that Devilsdorp begins is it starts off with 3 unassumingly connected murders in 2016, which all have the same modus operandi, meaning that these were people who went to meetings and ended up in the boots of their cars. Dead, of course. And so, the media dubbed it the appointment murders, at least at that time. However, and this is where it just, I had no idea. And this documentary, it blew my mind a little bit, especially because it's in South Africa. How often do you come across a South African true crime story? And essentially what happens is they investigated it, and then it turned out that through the investigations, they realized that these 3 murders were linked to a further 8 cold cases and other murders, bringing the total to 11. And then what the whole show does is it does this really great job of throwing you back in time all the way back to 2012 and talking about these cases that were never solved. And then it spins the most incredible web of how it all came to be and how this woman, Cecilia Steyn, was at the center of it all. An alleged 42nd generational satanic witch, which ended up being total bollocks, and she made it all up. But either way, she did this and managed to rope under her wing a woman and her 2 children and a young married couple and a few others along the way. But if you do watch it, I'd rather let you discover it. And in so doing, And this is the most interesting thing about it is, from what we understand, is she went to this church and she was asking them for help because she wanted to get out of being a Satanist. And of course, this church decided to help her, in particular a lady called Ria Groenewald. And when they took her in, she became quite demanding. In other words, she told them that she needed them around all the time to prevent her from being attacked by satanic rituals, right? Anyway, they all lapped it up, and mainly because they felt that they were doing the Lord's work by helping this woman come out of Satanism, all right? And I only mention this just as a very, very briefly, because it's all kind of explained in the first episode. I have to mention this because through that, this lady manages to, I don't know how she did it, and that's one of the issues of the documentaries, because they never really discuss it. But she manages to persuade this small group of people so that they can believe that she has the voice of God, because she's been led away from Satan. And then she creates her own group called Electus Per Deus, which is chosen by God. And then they believe that because she's a Satanist and she has unique insight into how to defeat the devil, that they should listen to her, because then they'll be doing God's word. And it just, through that religious aspect, they hang on her every word and eventually commit murder in her name. And it's just the most fascinating look at how normal people can get pulled in and sidetracked because of either their intense belief in something or because they have a void that they're trying to fill. And in one of those that they sort of detail in the show is how these people who ended up following Cecilia, they all felt like they needed to do more in their lives. And that's why by following her and, beating Satan, they thought that that's what they were doing, So it's fascinating. If anything, it's fascinating. Ariel wrote the review. It's really good. Go and read it if you have a chance. Alternatively, feel free to binge watch it from the 29th of July, exclusively on Showmax. But it's not perfect. It has its faults as well from a documentary standpoint. And by that, I mean, it never really answers certain questions. Like, what were Cecilia's motivations for all of this? Was it just money? Was it something else? Like, it never really gets answered. As well as like the psychology behind how she technically formed a cult. That they don't really get into it very much, which is a bit of a shame, because those are very interesting topics that they could have fleshed out a little bit more, just to make it a bit more rewarding for the viewer to watch. Interestingly enough, and as Ariel puts it in her review as well, one of the reasons why those initial cold cases never really went any further was because they were derailed by the fact that the original colonel on the case was so obsessed with the occult. And then he kept saying it was an occult, it was occult related, but it actually wasn't. And because of that, they never linked any of the future cases to it, if that makes sense.
How was it not related to the occult?
So, look, it does a good job the show does a good job of looking at a lot of professionals, right? Those from the cult-related unit in the SAPs, as well as psychologists and other people. And through their analyses of what happened, they clearly tell you that just because somebody has written or has put a demonic symbol on something at a murder scene doesn't make it occult-related. Because generally, but that's what happened. So in a lot of those murders, there were occult things, like somebody left like a werewolf toy there, or they would put a chicken claw somewhere in the scene. Do you know what I mean? So the initial, what I'm trying to get at is that the very initial colonel was so obsessed with the occult perspective that it actually made the cases run dry. And why I have to mention that is because, unfortunately, Devilsdorp, the show, does the same thing. It has this major occult vibe to it, which is very clearly done for shock value. but then they never really show you, like, I mean, they explain the facts and they explain certain things, but they never really get into it as in depth as I feel that they should have, to really explain like the rationale behind what happened and why Cecilia is the way that she is, if you get what I'm saying. But overall, though, it's entertaining. If anything, it's an entertaining watch. And there are a lot of WTF moments in this. A lot of WTF moments in this. So, yeah, it's a decent show. It's worth watching.
Okay, that's.
I don't know, Ed, is there anything you'd like to? I mean, I know I'm just talking about it. I know you haven't seen it, but is there anything? Any questions? I mean,
I'm just thinking, like you say that they could have gone into the psychology and what, but I'm thinking the thing's name is Devilsdorp, so maybe they're only trying to convey how it affected the Krugersdorp as in a general
the people
aspect.
Yes.
Yeah, more than the actual cult and this lady Cecilia or whatever.
I mean,
maybe
that's semi-fair, because it is focused a lot on, I guess, the victims and their families. You know, they all talk and they speak and that, and it's just, it would have been nice to know a little bit more. And
it leaves a question.
I say this because specifically from that cult perspective, right? So this is going to lead me into another show that we recently watched on Netflix. Sorry, not on Netflix, on HBO. And it's called NXIVM. Now, I'm not sure if you've heard about this before, Ed.
I've seen it and it looks amazing. But that's it.
I remember hearing about NXIVM years ago because
yes,
Alison Mack from Smallville was caught up in it. And I remember back in the day being like, what? She's in a cult? Like, what? You know, like I couldn't believe it, you know, and this was years ago. I'm talking about like 2008, 2009. This was long time ago. And this HBO documentary series, again, a documentary series, is focused on exactly that, on the NXIVM cult. Now, specifically cult. Now, that's a bit different to Devilsdorp, because Devilsdorp is more about murders which inevitably resulted because of a cult, which they became a cult. Now, what I was referring to just now is they don't really explain if Cecilia intentionally created a cult or if it was an unintentional consequence of her like brainwashing them. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And I say that because in NXIVM, it starts off very very basic about this company where you go there and you do their programs which help you get through anxiety and stuff. And the weirdest part is that these programs actually worked. Like, celebrities went to do this because it actually worked. In other words, if somebody had a fear of something, doing what NXIVM offered actually helped them. And to me, that was the most fascinating draw to this show, because if it worked, could that not then be applied to other things? But then everything starts unraveling, and you start realizing that this Keith Raniere guy, who is the head of NXIVM, actually employed a lot of psychosocial psychosocial methods in the way he speaks and talks to people and in his courses, that without it being blatant, inevitably prep you to, you know, listen to what he has to say. Like whatever he says is gospel.
Jeez.
But there's so much more to it though. Like one of his heads that worked with him in the company, she was, I think at the time, America's #1 neuropsychologist. And she actually had written papers on hypnosis and so she was a neurolingual, I think, psychologist, something like that, where just by using voice, you could persuade people to do things and to believe things. Anyway, it's, I can keep talking a lot about it, but what I really want to get at is as interesting as NXIVM is overall, right? And it's interesting to see what happened and how it seemingly went from offering something genuine that part of me still believes could maybe be harnessed for the greater good, which was what
Yeah.
was his whole spiel behind doing what he did. It's so opposite to Cecilia in Devilsdorp because you never really know what her motivations are, But in this one, Keith Raniere's motivations are to better the world. All right. But what's interesting about it is that, like, one of the biggest questions I was left wondering is if he never pushed his narcissism to the point where he enrolled Alison Mack and all of these other women into the secret cult within the bigger cult, would it have fallen apart? And would the methods he employed then be seen the way that they're viewed today versus actually possibly being beneficial? Because the first season has the way it showcases everything is it makes it really look like the processes that were involved in at least those basic courses. I mean, I'm not talking about going up in higher levels within NXIVM, right? But just those basic like emotional courses where they help people break through anxieties and that, like that there has to be something good there, right? Right?
Probably. That's the thing with all of these psychological stuff. Like, I think 99.9% of anything psychological can be applied in a good way. It's just people choose to not do that.
Then again, maybe not. Now, hear me out now. But before I keep carrying, because now I want to discuss it, right? So, Devilsdorp's good. Watch that. NXIVM it's distinctly average. Just because I feel that every now and again they really do like drag it on. Like where Devilsdorp is 4 episodes, NXIVM is like 9, and then it ends on a cliffhanger where you have to wait for season 2, and that irritated me because anyway, I think they purposely did it to split it into seasons. Anyway. So one big sort of link between these two shows and the whole cult aspect of it is that it really does seem to prey on the void that people have in their lives. So in Devilsdorp, the people that were part of Cecilia's inner circle, cult, for lack of a better word, felt that they needed to do more in their lives, specifically under the name of God. Okay? And then they felt that Cecilia was the key, despite the fact that, the moment Cecilia started talking about murder, the like warning bells should have gone off, right? But I suppose that's why if you're in a cult, you don't realize it, right? Now, in NXIVM, it seems like, a lot of the people that went through and benefited from the courses all seemingly seemed like they were missing something. Like either, or not necessarily missing something, but maybe were unhappy with something, Like maybe they felt they weren't worthy of their success, or they felt that they needed more of a purpose. It almost, I know it sounds strange, but it almost seems like the link between these two and these cults was very much purpose driven. Like, what is your purpose? And if you don't have one, we'll help you find your purpose. You see?
Yeah.
Now, what's interesting again with that is that, where in Devilsdorp they were driven to murder, in NXIVM, and eventually it comes down to where Keith Raniere had a harem, basically, of these women who, it was called DOS, Dominus something, I can't remember the exact name, but basically like you're a submissive to the master. And in DOS, Keith was the master, and then under him he had other masters, and he had slaves, sorry. And one of those was Alison Mack. But Alison Mack was a first tier slave. So then she became a master to slaves below her. And that's literally the terminology. No, for real, that's literally the terminology. So you think to yourself, I mean, who on earth would want to be called a slave to a master and report to them all the time and ask them when they can eat? And okay, now and I can see your face, Edward, and how you're thinking of BDSM. This is not the same.
No, this is obviously worse.
Worse. This is different. So people who like BDSM actively seek out being a submissive. Okay?
Yeah.
In NXIVM, and also weirdly enough, as a bit of a correlation to what happened with the Devilsdorp crew, is they felt that they needed to belong, and that they were missing a purpose. And through DOS in NXIVM and through Cecilia in Devilsdorp, they found a greater purpose with which to live their lives. You see? And then in that, they sort of become, I suppose, I don't know how you say, brainwashed, I guess, to believe that whatever this master or guru that's helping them so much can only want good for them. Despite the fact that both of these cult leaders would actually, on several occasions, break down their members. But of course, that's obvious. That then makes me think of Stockholm syndrome.
That's kind of how it works.
No, it's like Stockholm syndrome. You break somebody down to the point where they feel that being broken down is actually a reward.
Yes.
So it's weird to talk about like two cults. That wasn't the purpose of the last 2 weeks in my life. We went from watching NXIVM to watching Devilsdorp, and it just so happened that, as we were watching NXIVM, the public relations rep for Showmax was like, "Hey, we've got this show. Do you want to watch it?" And I was like, "Yes, I want to see it."
Of course. Duh.
So it's just interesting, and
yeah.
Sometimes, when people talk about cults and stuff, you think of psychotropics, right? Sometimes cults do use that. Like, I think, I can't remember, there was one way back in the past that used, I think it was heroin, to sort of get the people to stay with them and to be in a perpetual high, to reach, nirvana. Or
that's a common sex trade.
Tactic. There we go.
Yeah.
Now, this is not really related to cults, but I'm bringing that up because we've mentioned CBD on the podcast before. And one of the ways to take CBD is to put it under the tongue. And I've often wondered, does that actually work? There's always that gets absorbed faster into the body, And I was left wondering, is that really true? So I've started taking CBD oil because I'm trying to get myself to sleep, despite not ever being able to, and last night being one of the worst nights I've had in a very long time. And so I thought, well, does it actually work? And it turns out that yes, actually, putting stuff under your tongue is a legitimate thing. It's actually called sublingual administration, where sublingual is it's a Latin word for under the tongue.
Below tongue.
Right? Isn't that cool?
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so I looked just a little bit more into it, and it turns out that because the mucosal membranes are quite thin, putting any medicine or whatever under the tongue, it actually absorbs straight into those mucosal membranes, and then from there it goes straight into the veins that are there. And it turns out that your main arterial veins actually, when they go up in the back of your neck, they actually split down under your tongue, and that's why when you put things underneath there, you can absorb it a lot quicker, right?
Children are stupid, and I remember being in high school. There was stories, and it happened to one kid not in our grade, in the grade after. They put chalk under their tongue.
Why?
And they fainted. I don't know why. Maybe it was some TikTok thing. I was
before TikTok. Yeah.
I'm still too old to understand it. Do it for the Vine. And they fainted. And this explains why.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, what was in the chalk? That's what I want to know.
Well, chalk, I guess.
No,
but
just
coal.
I don't know what is in chalk.
What is?
Isn't
chalk?
it calcium? Isn't chalk calcium? Anyway, so what do you think could be in chalk to cause people to faint? I mean, well, of course,
chalk
when it's under the tongue, of course.
What is in chalk? It's a carbonate rock, a form of sediment, limestone. That's what it is.
Well, I don't know. I've never heard of limestone making people faint, but okay.
Neither have I, but okay. That's chalk.
Well, look, anyway, it's apparently a very effective means of medicinal administration into the body. And,
that's
cool. Help for if you want to kill yourself. Sorry, I didn't mean for it to go that dark.
Or heal yourself.
Actually, yes, to heal. Let me just put this disclaimer out there. If anybody ever is thinking about harming themselves in any way, please seek assistance. I will tag this particular section with a repository for if you have terrible thoughts, to please think them through, because that's not actually what I meant. It was just a very, very poor segue to a movie called Blackbird that I want to talk about, because it actually has to do with assisted suicide.
Yes.
All right, so back from that.
Sorry, I'm laughing.
I know, but it was really bad on my part. Okay, so Blackbird it's a decent film. It's good. It's incredibly emotional. If you watch this, have tissues with you, because you're gonna cry. You're gonna cry. It's just one of those films. It's about a lady, Susan Sarandon, who puts in a truly incredible performance, and she is ill with some degenerative disease. They don't specify which one, because I guess it doesn't really matter. That way, allowing anybody who has a degenerative disease to possibly feel like they can relate to her.
Related, yeah.
And so she has decided to end her life early before she loses all faculties, such as being able to eat or breathe or whatever the case is. And as a result, she plans a weekend with her immediate family. So her husband, 2 daughters, and then their families, obviously, to come and spend the weekend, the last weekend ever, with her before she decides to say goodbye. And it's beautiful and very sad, very, it's touching. There are a few moments, and you wonder why they were thrown in, but at the same time, all believable though. It's not out of the realm of possibility, depending on what people are going through, and that kind of thing. It also stars Sam Neill, Kate Winslet, Rainn Wilson, Mia Wasikowski. It's a very, very strong cast, it's very sad, but it's a good movie. I thought it was a good movie. It was well acted, but I can understand why people wouldn't enjoy it, because it is very sad. The whole movie is a low note. You will not come out of it feeling good or happy at all. It's one of those films, but overall good, because I suppose the message is to make every moment count. Not that you meant to take your life away, whatever. It's to make every moment count and spend as much time as you can with those while you still have them.
Yeah,
I think.
Plus, Susan Sarandon, she's amazing.
She's so good.
So I imagine,
she's so
I imagine
good.
her delivery is
she's so
phenomenal.
So good. Now, for those of you who are watching the video, you'll have noticed I have spectacles on. These are brand new. I literally picked them up before doing Gettle. I don't know why I got them, because I don't feel my eyes are that bad, but it's more so to help with, because I'm behind a screen for so many hours per day, and my eyes are taking strain as a result. And with that in mind, I see Edward has a post here about how our evolutionary origins may be a lie, and maybe this is why I have spectacles in my life at this point in time.
Probably not. You're just old. But not as old as the skull they dug up in 1930.
Already? So why are we hearing about it now?
Because now there are more evidence to lead us to believe the origins of the skull might change the way we think of our own origins, basically. So for the longest time, we are Homo sapien. Okay, that is our genus. That is our evolutionary tract, essentially. For the longest time, it was believed that we have come from the Neanderthal, which is, I forgot which Homo he is or they are, but essentially that might not be the case, since so to backtrack a bit, they found the skull, a big skull, bigger than usual, in 1930 in Harbin City. Now that's close to Heilongjiang in China, and that was put away on display in the Hebei Geo University at the Geoscience Museum. So I think it was just standing there for like, what's it now, almost 100 years. But
that's
new
crazy.
evidence suggests that this skull called the skull is actually not Homo sapien. It's actually Homo eongi, which translates to dragon man.
Ooh.
No, I thought that's monkey. It's actually Iongi.
Ooh, tell me more.
Yes. Now I don't know where the dragon comes from. To be fair, the first thing I thought when I read this was, oh shit, we are reptile men. But no, that's not the case.
This is like my thing. I'm just like, what? What are you trying to tell me now? Like
exactly.
I should have perfect eyesight then.
Because all dragons have perfect eyesight, I guess. So yeah, the new studies have found that the Homo eongi lineage may be our closest relative, and not the Neanderthal, which is actually quite funny because the skull, number one, it was perfectly preserved. They found it in such a perfect detail that they could figure out morphological details critical to the understanding of our origin, our evolution, of the Homo genus. Now that's Homo sapien, Homo eongi.
Is this kind of like almost like a missing link that they've found or something?
Not exactly, because obviously we still don't know exactly where we come from and how we evolved from apes. That's still up in question.
Assuming we did.
Assuming we did. See, that's so that they're not filling that gap. They're just filling the gap of where we actually may have come from instead of where we thought we did. Because it's all up it's still all up. We don't know these things. We think we do. So, like all ancient skulls, this one is also tiny. It won't hold a fully grown human brain like all of them, because we just evolved to have bigger brains. But it is a bigger skull than all of them. It's the biggest one we've ever found. And just like all of them, they have square sockets. They have big eyebrow ridges.
Yes,
and basically all of those, it's the same. Wide mouth.
Okay, but I mean, okay. I was just gonna say, I was like, you're tantalizing me here. You keep telling me all the things that are the same, but I want to know what's different.
Okay, so basically, what sets it apart from the others is that it was built with a mosaic combination. Now I'm not sure what this means, but what they say this means, it's basically it has different derivative characters to it. Which means the sockets are different, the ridges, while it's the same.
You mean like the actual structure of the skull?
Yes, it's mosaic.
What is that? Okay, so
I'm not sure what this means. I couldn't find,
because you know what I'm thinking more than when you say mosaic. Right?
What?
I'm thinking like the backsplash in kitchens and the designs that you can make.
Yes, that's exactly what. Now I'm thinking this might be true. So maybe instead of entirely square, it's more mosaic, I guess, which means it's got more rounder holes.
Look, is this the only one of its kind that they found?
Yes.
So when we say mosaic, do you think? I mean, I suppose because this was 150,000 years ago, right?
Yes.
I mean, this is now, I know you're talking about actual science and like legit things, but like, what if there was another civilization that was
That's what I'm saying
put
as
together?
Well. That's my belief, okay? That's what I believe as well. Anyway. So because of this different structure, they designated it Homo eongi, which is, again, Dragon Man. And they believe... from all the studies now recently, they believe this man, it was a male. He was about 50 years in age and lived in a forested floodplain environment. Now, given how large the skull is in particular, they believe it was a genus that evolved to adapt to harsh environments, to be able to withstand basically pressure and weather and all of that stuff, basically. Stuff that we won't be able to withstand naturally. Like just last night, it was so cold, and we slept with the heater on because it was bad. And you shouldn't do that, kids. Just by the way,
it dries everything out.
Yeah.
No,
So,
look, I'm curious now because they're saying that this is only plus minus 140, 150,000 years ago, right?
yes.
I mean, if we think about documented civilization, I suppose we know of things like the Egyptians, which were like more than 2,000 years ago, to 3,000 years, 4,000. It was 6,000 BC, wasn't it? They went quite far back.
About 6.
I suppose it's not 150,000 years back. But okay, so that's it. That's very interesting.
Yeah. Well, what tickles my mind though is the fact that they say obviously what 150,000 years. That's the Pleistocene era, which is basically the era where all our ancestors were traveling, were migrating. So they are hypothesizing that the Homo eongi and the Homo sapien could have been in contact with each other. They could have encountered each other, even back then. And this
they could have mated,
obviously leads.
Or fought.
That's the thing. Could be, and this is why they think this is a closer relative to us than the Neanderthals are, because the Neanderthals.
Oh, I see.
They were too dumb to migrate.
Did they reconstruct the face so we could see what it looks like?
There are reconstructions on the internet that you could find, but it wasn't done by these researchers.
Oh, I see.
So googling it, yes, you can find reconstructions of the face, and it looks like just another Neanderthal. To be fair, to me, they all look the same. I know that's an ignorant thing to say, but I don't see the difference between
what is most curious about finding additional kinds of these origin species, I suppose if that's how you want to say it, is that there must be some credence to it, because look at the world today and look at the different races of people. You know how people from Asia Pacific do have different facial features. People from Africa have different facial features. So it stands to reason that it's possible that, all of these hundreds of thousands of years ago, there were different lineages, and maybe towards the more modern age, there were only a few left over. Do you know what I mean? Like the main ones in all the different locations, like how we have, like the Red Indians and we have the Aboriginals. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
This is fascinating.
The East Tex and stuff.
Yeah, this is very, very interesting.
And maybe that's what they mean with mosaic face, which means it fits closer to what we have, which is round.
Maybe.
To theirs, which is square.
Or maybe it has, because you see, I understand that although currently today, all humans have a very similar skull structure, you can still tell race from the skull. Because it's just the way that certain features are shaped, all right?
Eye sockets are shaped, bro.
Yes, maybe the mosaic nature of the face is more along the lines of it fits into more of our current racial spread around the globe.
That's what I'm thinking.
That's so interesting.
Because as we said, ancient craniums, they were all square-shaped and big and blocky. This is explained to be a mosaic. As I said, I don't understand what that means, but I think we are onto something. Obviously, this is conjecture. We don't really know, but this little tidbit, it's just news. It's still very fresh news as well.
Oh, wow. All right.
So we will be finding out more in the coming days and months, but it's super interesting.
That's very interesting. Yeah. That's very interesting. Awesome. Almost as interesting as countries being turned into anime characters for the Tokyo 2020 Olympics.
Hey.
For all of our weebos out there. I think that's what they're called, right? I don't actually know. Am I right?
Yeah, you're pretty spot on.
So this next tidbit of information was sent in by Christoffel from South Africa. Thank you very much. And essentially, it has to do with a series of about 15 Japanese artists who took it upon themselves to turn all of the world's flags, specifically for the nations who are participating within the Tokyo 2020 Olympics, into Japanese samurai anime characters. And it's super cool. Like, I don't know. I just think it's really great. So my understanding is that the reason why they did this is because they wanted to imbue Japanese heritage into the countries coming to Japan. We all know that the Olympics were postponed from 2020, even though like it was honestly, they had the perfect logo. Everything was so perfect for the 2020 Olympics. It's such a shame that COVID decided to come around and stuff everything up. Anyway, these artists, they took it upon themselves to imbue the flags of the nation with Japanese samurai culture, because the Japanese are very proud of their samurai, I want to say origins, but of their samurai heritage. And it's so cool because they've currently done, at least at the time that I found this, it's possibly more now, 84 of the 200 competing countries within the Olympics. And, it's done so well because these artists didn't just, thumbsuck ideas and create random characters for every nation. What they actually did is they researched every nation that, they looked at the flag, they researched the flag, they researched the nation, and then they produced what they thought would be the Japanese samurai equivalent in an anime universe from that flag and that nation. And it's so cool. I mean, they even went so far as to write little blurbs for like the strengths and the weaknesses of the characters and their personality. And I think it's so cool. Like it could be turned into a video game,
It's super cool. My only gripe with this is like, okay, so it's amazing because like the Mexican flag anime guy, he has an eagle or a hawk. I can't remember, because the Mexican flag has an eagle, which is amazing. My gripe with this is though that the South African guy, which looks amazing, he doesn't have a spear.
Does he though? Because
he doesn't.
No. He doesn't have a spear. I just meant like, does he really look amazing though? Because I've looked at all of the others, and I kind of feel like South Africa.
You're just biased.
No, I kind of feel that like South Africa got the short end of the straw here.
Well, to be fair, I don't think this guy knew what to do with South Africa.
Look,
because we're such a mixed nation.
It is very cool. But I'll give them that. But Edward is right. Like, they could have had the tribal shield, because some of the other characters, like the USA, Canada, I think even Italy, they all have like shields,
Yeah, or something. No, I get that this is Japanese, but the samurai, I think of the Edo period, I'm not sure, but they had spears called mochiyari. And we literally had spears. We came from a civilization carrying spears and shield. So that's just a small gripe.
Maybe we missed the mark when they were talking about these, because these artists actually did take to social media for quite a few of the these anime samurai interpretations of countries. And like one of the examples was that they actually drew Spain to be a bullfighter. And then a lot of people actually pushed back because bullfighting has become quite controversial in Spain. They're actually trying to outlaw it. And then Spain was completely redone. And now the character looks absolutely incredible. So, I'm wondering if maybe South Africans just didn't push back. Like nobody was like, hey, can you please give him a vuvuzela?
Exactly. They didn't push back because everyone loves the katana. It's a samurai. Oh yeah, katana, baby. That's why they didn't push back.
As always, when we talk about things that we are able to link to, by all means, click the link in the description and you can have a look at...
it looks amazing.
Look, they do look... I personally prefer some of the other ones versus South Africa. But it's all right. It's still cool. I just feel that there could have been a little bit more, maybe even like a mask, or something. Just a little bit more like tribal, maybe.
Just a little bit more South African.
I do like the flag bits to it though, like the colors.
Oh, of course.
I just don't get what looks like. It looks like that bird.
A fan. Oh, a bow.
A what?
Is it a bow? What do you call it?
I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a bow in Afrikaans. It's a bow in Afrikaans.
Do you know which one I'm talking about? The beautiful one with all the feathers.
Yes.
Gosh, I can't think of it right now. A peacock. A peacock.
Oh, in English.
A peacock.
There we go. Yeah, it's a
So
peacock.
I don't know what that. Actually, I don't think it is a peacock. I think it's actually beads. Anyway, let's not focus on it too much.
Maybe, I don't know.
Either way,
let's not scrutinize
the whole thing is cool. Either way, I think it's such a cool initiative.
Yes.
And I love the fact that these group of artists decided to do something really unique and interesting and different to celebrate the Tokyo Olympics. Eh?
Yeah,
I mean, it's just cool. And you have more Olympic info.
Do you know
hey,
what
Ed?
else? Yeah, what else the Olympics have done this year that's different?
Do tell.
For the first time ever, the Olympic company, I don't know if it's a brand or whatever it is, they have implemented renewable beds, because as you know, the athlete villages, every 4 years the Olympic happens, for 5 years. Many of these athletes, hundreds,
You mean
and thousands
the
of
sex
athletes
villages?
need to be. I guess so. They need to be obviously given a bed to sleep in, and for the first time ever, this is now cardboard, which is made of all the fibers ever. Now, because of its cardboard, though, many people, especially this one Olympic athlete called Paul Kelimo from the American team, he went to Twitter to be all, oh no, this is cardboard, so you can't have sex on it. Okay?
Listen. The Olympic villages are known for their for their prolific pumping. Okay.
Yes, I mean, for the Rio Olympics alone, they issued 450,000 condoms to their athletes, which is about 42 condoms per athlete.
Jeez,
no, that's bad.
We've obviously missed that calling in life. We should have been Olympic stars.
Yeah, right. we would have been richer, that's for sure. And
happier.
Well, yeah,
evidently.
But no, it turns out that that's a gross fake news. It turns out these beds can actually hold up to 200 kilograms of weight.
Okay.
And the average athlete in Rio was 72
That's
kilograms.
light, hey? Sure.
Yes. Now, this was all debunked, I guess is the word, by Irish gymnast Reese McConaghan, who tweeted, and then the official Olympics account tweeted thanks to him and retweeted it for putting an end to the
he jumped on it. That's hilarious.
Yeah, it was amazing. And they were like, oh, thank you for clearing that up. So that's cool.
No. All he did, as the good Irishman that he is prove you can still have a great time.
Exactly. But yeah, well, that obviously brought to light the fact that this was cardboard, and I find this fascinating.
It's so funny.
It's what's the word? Sponsored by a Japanese bedding company called Airweave, and they provided 18,000 beds and mattresses to the Olympic Association, and they're actually modular, which fascinates me as well. So it's not just a cardboard structure; it's made to be able to be modified to their athletes sleeping on it.
That's cool. Yeah.
Size and strength.
That's awesome.
So that's super awesome. So maybe this Paul Kelimo, maybe he's just a tiny guy and he jumped on his bed and it broke something.
This is so Japanese. I love it.
Yes.
I just love it.
Even their cupboards are cardboard. The rooms are totally reusable.
I've looked at it. The stuff doesn't look like cardboard. It looks like proper wood.
It looks phenomenal.
It's really well done.
It looks like something I would go buy.
I just realized.
What?
They still have to contend with COVID.
Yep.
Oh,
yeah, unfortunately, that's the big thing. I think
spoiling
just last
everything,
night,
including the sex villages. I mean, really.
Yep. I think just last night, actually, the first reported case of positive COVID came from the athlete villages.
Oh, man.
Yeah. So, well, that's going to happen if you have a big ass event, I guess.
Well, with a whole lot of raunchy individuals.
Exactly. Do you know what else is raunchy, Hans?
Oh, I know.
No, while we're on that topic.
Oh, I know.
What?
Billionaires who go into space.
Yeah. Well, I was going more along the Blue Origin spaceship.
Listen, I realized that there's no real place to put a jingle in, so I'm just going to throw it in before we
This is the jingle.
I'm going to do it before we talk about the sex villages. I kind of like that.
Okay, that's fine.
Anyway, okay,
I still think it's more educational.
So tell me. Okay, so we all know the billionaires are doing whatever they can to get into space because they're not interested in fixing the Earth, so they just want to go. Okay, like the dumbasses.
I don't know what their motives are.
What? Of course, of all of these things, because we know it's Branson and what's the other one's name? The Bezos,
Musk?
right? Musk hasn't gone into space himself yet, but I'm sure he will at some point.
No.
I just think it's just absolutely hilarious how Musk and Branson have created seemingly normal-looking spaceships to go in to escape the stratosphere. But then we have Bezos doing the absolute villainous billionaire thing and going up in a dong.
Have you listened to this guy speak?
No.
He sounds like an evil villain, Hans. There's an interview on YouTube that you can check where he comes with his cowboy hat and his Rolex over his spacesuit. if that doesn't scream rich white man, I don't know what does. Where they interview the guy and they're like, "Oh, are you happy to go into space or something?" I don't recall. And he's all like, "Yes, of course I am." And he sounds like a JoJo's Bizarre Adventures evil villain, the way he laughs. Okay? The fact that he made his spaceship look like a penis. Okay, that's just the ultimate joke.
It's the ultimate billionaire thing to do. Yeah.
Okay.
So hold on. So he's not just any evil villain. He's the one from Austin Powers because he's bald as well.
Yes, he is.
$1 million.
Exactly with his laser sharks and his
Listen,
pet cat.
Let's not put it past him. Okay, good grief.
Exactly. I wouldn't put it past Bezos. Now, to be fair, I forgot Blue Origin kind of existed for a while.
It's not his company, right? Or is it? Is it?
No, Blue Origin is
owned by Amazon.
Company. Yep.
Okay.
It's owned by Bezos. I don't think it's a subsidiary or anything like SpaceX is for boring. I think this is completely its own thing.
Okay.
Obviously, I'm not certain. Anyway, the fact that this is under the NSFW segment is because, as always, the porn industry is on top of the shit. Not because they this time they sponsored it or anything, but because they're already releasing sex toys based on it.
I love it.
So a company called Cosmos Toys or something. I already forgot the name because that's Cam Soda. Yeah. There we go. Because that doesn't matter. the names that do matter is the new sex toy line called Billionaire Flesh Rockets.
Oh, love.
Okay. Now,
love.
Obviously, as you can imagine, there are 3 of them, which are called the Blue Orgasm, Space Sex, and Galactic.
Oh, I want that one.
I
want Galactic.
No, as you can obviously surmise, they're based on the 3 billionaire companies: Blue Orgasm for Origin, SpaceX for SpaceX, and Galactic, which is the best one.
Is it really
Galactic? Yeah, I would say Virgin Galactic.
Oh, is that what it is? I thought it was like. Anyway,
it's based on Virgin Galactic.
Okay. Oh, I get it. So, I see what Blue Origin is Blue Orgasm, SpaceX is SpaceX, and Galactic is Galactic. That just dawned on me.
Well, that's what it sounds so tacky though, but they look even more tacky.
Describe them for us.
Okay, so Blue Orgasm is this weird ass alien penis with Or more like a Hulk penis because it's got these veins
Hey,
and
Hulk
these bulges
smash.
and everything. It looks bad. SpaceX, on the other hand, is this pitch black rocket. It doesn't
You
look like
see,
a penis.
that's more me. I like minimalism. I would go for the
It's so
SpaceX.
vanilla though.
Yeah, but it's still
No, personally, I would go with Galactic because it looks like a great white shark with like a penis tip and like fins, shark fins, but it's obviously rocket
So
fins.
I assume they didn't really try very hard, pun intended,
No,
to
they didn't.
emulate these toys on the actual rockets. Because
No.
Blue Origin's rocket needs no imagination. That thing is a giant penis.
Exactly. If like SpaceX is the one without the imagination, I would imagine that would be Blue Orgasm. You know,
Yeah,
if you look at the actual rocket.
But
No,
see,
it's this actual monster peen
you know
you're
what?
getting if you're buying this one.
This actually irritates me a little bit because all this just screams first to market so we can get money because it's funny. Instead of actually giving us something that looks like the Blue Origin rocket that you can masturbate with. Missed opportunities, guys. Missed opportunities, honestly.
That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Cam soda.
I don't know, it just looks
cheap.
shit. It looks tacky.
Yes, because there's no originality. They took off the shelf toys and just gave them cool names. I mean, really? That's
Actually, now that I look at the image, Galactic looks like that whatever you get from if you make a 12 Splice, the movie Splice.
Oh no. Nobody wants that.
Nobody
wants that.
That's what Galactic looks like.
Goodness. Okay. That's not great. Do you know
that's a
I see.
Yes.
It has finally put a photo here for me to see. No, these are SpaceX is the best one in my personal opinion because the other two don't even look like rockets.
It's just
very
rocket.
Disappointing.
It's a toy rocket.
Very disappointing. All right. Well, please check the link.
Yeah, it was a tiny.
Go and check it out.
Please do. I thought it was interesting enough to mention.
Yeah, it is. It is, Edward. Well done.
And yeah.
Well, on disappointing things, right? Because exactly.
Yes.
Even Edward's disappointed by this. Is Gunpowder Milkshake from Netflix? Avoid. Don't even bother. It's thank you so much for coming to my TED talk.
I dig that, Hans. Actually, like it's so bad we don't even speak about it.
It's not. No, it is bad, but I mean, it's bad and okay. It's kind of it's like Mortal Kombat bad. You remember when I spoke about Mortal Kombat?
Yeah,
but maybe. Okay, let me just talk about the film before that. So,
okay,
Gunpowder Milkshake. It starts off really strong, like really strong. I'm talking about, you have these incredible actresses, and they're pulling the movie basically, and in particular we're talking about Karen Gillan, which is really strange because you don't often see her outside of Nebula from Avengers, and it was really weird to see her in the role. Anyway, so like the main woman in this film, because it's very much about like they don't really push women empowerment, but it's implied, right? Lena Headey from Game of Thrones. We have Michelle Yeoh, who's just absolutely phenomenal, and she plays such a great role in the new Mandalorian, the TV series, as well as where is she on here? Angela Bassett. Man, do I love that woman. She is so beautiful. Anyway, so and then there's also one more. Then also Carla Gugino. I don't know if I'm pronouncing her name correctly, but y'all will know who she. All of these actresses. They're very popular. They're very good. They're very talented. So the movie starts off very strong. All right. It has vibes of John Wick. I know we mentioned that before for Pig, but genuine John Wick vibes here. Not because of the killing of any animals or dogs or anything like that, but more so the world of John Wick. With the Continental Hotel. In this film, it's a milkshake parlor. When he goes and gets guns, he visits that one guy in the Continental, in Gunpowder Milkshake, they visit a library because weapons are within the books. So there's a lot of really smart, really clever concepts in this film. And even the visual style it's beautiful. It reminds me a little bit of like Frank Miller, a little bit. It's very stylized.
Right.
Like the way that things look and things like that. However, the issue is that you think you're watching a new Kill Bill, and it ends up being Dumb and Dumber.
Is it like a parody movie, maybe?
No, not at all. Not that I can tell. So it has all of these incredible concepts, and it looks good, and it has this interesting comic book, cartoony style. But then it just completely loses the plot with some of the worst one-liners I've ever seen in a movie. Extremely puerile humor. Like there's this one scene where Karen Gillan's character is being pursued by 3 henchmen. Okay, and they're typical henchmen. And she beats them all to a pulp. And then they go to the doctor to be fixed. And the doctor is in a very stylized dentistry, pretend dentistry, where everybody has to put their guns in this massive tooth. Okay? Anyway, so they're there. And then there's this is literally where the movie goes downhill, in my opinion. Things happen, and now, of course, Karen Gillan's character has been ostracized from the firm, which is who employed her. Very much like what happened to John Wick.
Okay.
And, anyway.
It's super similar.
It's very, very similar. But then, where the moment that you can just tell where there's that switch in, oh, this is stupid now, is there's literally this like 5-minute scene of these 3 henchmen who've all been exposed to laughing gas. And all they do for 5 minutes is laugh about the dumbest stuff in the room with the doctor that they're getting high with. And you're just looking at this and you're like, this is adding absolutely nothing to the story. These 3 characters are inconsequential to the grand scheme of things, and they're actually just very irritating. And that unfortunately becomes the mood for the rest of the film. Unfortunately. Where the rest of the film, look, it has some good moments, right? Like there's this one where it starts off with Karen Gillan has to kill this accountant, okay? So she goes to the accountant, she kills him, or she shoots him, and then it turns out that he was doing it because he stole the money or whatever because his daughter was kidnapped. So Gillian's character is like, oh shit, she feels bad because she has mommy issues, all right? So then she takes the guy to the doctor to get healed, and then asks him where the daughter is and goes to rescue the daughter. Okay? Goes and rescues the daughter, and when she's there, she beats those 3 thugs up, but then at the same time, she has to rescue the little girl. And then they go on this other little side mission where she eventually comes up with these masked people who kidnap the girl. And then they have like this piece where they have to switch the money with the girl, and they use trolleys. Anyway, so it happens. Then she makes sure the girl's safe, and then she chases after them. And as she chases after them, these other guys turn on each other and all kill themselves. And so Karen Gillan's character just watches. She just watches it all unfold. And then before she can get the money, it blows up. So, like, that to me was a bit of a fun scene. Because it's interesting that the main character literally does nothing and watches them all kill each other because they're betraying each other. Yeah. But, it was still very over the top, and like the humor's dumb. Like, the one guy gets like stabbed in the neck, and then there's this whole like, like over exaggerated, like, and then the blood just like shoots everywhere, and you're just like, okay, it's not really funny. And then like dumb one-liners, like this thing that sticks out the most to me was there's a scene where now Gillian's character has this little girl with her the whole time, and they go to the library to seek solace because they're being pursued by the firm, which is against them now. And when they get there, Angela Bassett's character is like, no, you a bitch. You don't deserve to be here, right? But she swears. Okay, she says the F word. And then the other woman, then I think it was Michelle Yeoh's character, or it was Carla Gugino's character, is like, no, don't swear. There's a little girl here. So then they start saying fudge for a whole 5 minutes, swearing at each other, but like, fudge you, fudge that, fudge that. And you're just like looking at this and you're just like,
stupid.
Okay, it's wholly unnecessary. And you're having these...
It's forced comedy.
Yes. And you have these incredible actresses doing the most, the dumbest lines. You know, like there's even a scene, and it's not even a spoiler, where Carla Gugino dies, but just the whole like, you know, she's like dying for like 5 minutes. It's stupid.
It kind of sounds like a movie called Kung Pao Chicken.
Oh no! That is purposefully done, and it's excellent.
Yes.
This
sounds like it was purposeful.
This is not. It's not. It's Edward. Watch it, and you'll know what I'm saying. And if it was purposeful, then it didn't come across as such. In which case, that's a flaw.
Yeah.
Because if people couldn't tell, then you're doing a bad job of it. That's my personal opinion. Look. It's distinctly average. Even the action's not that great. Like you can clearly see, like during fight scenes, that the punches are not connecting. There are other scenes where, like Michelle Yeoh in slow motion is like shooting people, but the gun is not even at the person, and their head is blowing up. You know, there's so much lack of detail in this, in this film. Detail that should be taken care of. And I remember seeing it right in the beginning. Where Karen Gillan is sitting with her mother, or young Karen Gillan, and they're drinking milkshake. But it's not going down. The milkshake wasn't going down. Now, I know that's a dumb thing to fixate on, but anybody knows when you drink milkshake, even that first sip, that whole top piece starts going down, right? And the reason why it was so noticeable to me is because this exposition of them drinking the milkshake went on for like 4 minutes.
Yeah, it makes
it was just because they were like zooming in on Lena Headey's eyes, then Karen Gillan's eyes, then Lena Headey's eyes, then back on the milkshake, and I'm just like, what is happening? But the milkshake didn't go down, and then the next scene, which cuts to them now sitting back, and now the milkshake is down, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Anyway, it's just with little things like that were just really stupid. That's all. I can hear your pup in the background there is having a bit of a moment.
Yeah. Gosh.
Either way, disappointing film, don't bother, and I guess that is the end of the episode.
I guess
so. Just in time. Your dog decided to come in and say hi right at the end.
I don't think that'll be an issue regardless.
No, I think it'll be fine. Just remember, Cobalt already twice was in and out of my study.
I saw Shane.
Yeah, and I was just like, I don't know why he does this. It's this new thing now where he just has to be in the room to sit with me. And so,
shame.
You know, he's always pushing the door.
It's because you have a chair in your room now.
Yeah.
It literally
an
is
empty chair that normally you would be sitting in, but thanks to COVID, you're no longer here. So, I suppose that's how it is.
That's how it goes.
Good gosh, Edward, these spectacles are killing me. I should not have worn them for the first time ever for over an hour and a half recording Gettle because I am feeling it. It's like, whoo! And you know, I can see like perfect. I don't even know why I got them. Anyway, whatever.
To get rid of your headache.
Actually, I do feel a little bit better headache-wise, but now my eyes are sore, if that makes sense. I think it's because they're a bit, I'm still obviously getting used to it, but this is purely what they're for. They're for when I'm staring at screens like this all day. So yeah.
Okay.
If, I'm over that hill now, where I have to get spectacles and I got to go for vaccines before all of y'all young bitches out there.
Yeah. Don't worry. We're all
but soon your time will come, Edward. Soon your time will come.
Exactly.
And for those of you out there, we hope that you're also all well, looking after yourselves, and that COVID hasn't been too drastic, and that you all get vaccinated as well. But yes, thank you. This was the end of Skittle 66, Season 2, Episode 24. A little bit of a subdued episode, just because we've been very busy in the background. I mean, when I went for the vaccine, it took me 2 full hours, and that was already after an hour of searching for a place that would take me. So that was like my whole day basically went, trying to do that, even though it's only 3 hours. But you know what I mean, right? The getting there, the waiting, the whole thing. But I considered the experience quite impressive. A lot of things don't often go well in this country, but I have to say that the vaccine process was smooth and efficient. Sure, it took long. So from the time I arrived to getting the jab was a full 2 hours, and then I waited half an hour to make sure I didn't have any reactions. But it was clean and safe and well organized. What I would recommend though, especially if you're in South Africa, is if you do want to go for your vaccine, do get yourself an appointment through Discam if possible, because a friend of mine did that and it took her 45 minutes in and out with an actual time slot. So that's a lot better than what I did, which was like I had an appointment for the 2nd of August, but didn't want to wait that long. So because I want to get this done. I want to get protected as soon as possible. I went to a walk-in, which is like a state walk-in facility. And it was very good, but obviously it took time because, they have to take whoever comes. It's not like you're scheduled for this section. So, your time is booked. But yeah, highly recommend it for those of you who are of the age to get the vaccine. So yeah,
cool.
Good times. Billy G is very annoying. He keeps talking to me at the back there. And my 5G is not as fast as I thought it would be. Disappointed.
It's because it's bogged down.
No, it's because I need the second dose.
That's it. You only have 2.5.
Yeah. Gosh. Anyway, for those of you who listen, thank you so much. Edward and I appreciate it all the time. We hope that you have a lovely week further, and we look forward to seeing you all again next week. Ciao for now.
Bye.